Hey Techno Bros viewers, this is Adam from the Techno Bros bringing you guys another character analyzation from Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. Now, if you watched the previous episode, you recall me saying that I was going to start off with Luigi, but after going through his character and like reading through the script and all that things, I realized that Mario and Luigi, they have a lot of similarities. So for me to go from Mario then to Luigi, that would just be basically somewhat repeating the same stuff. I decided to go on ahead to Mario's actual rival, per se, not necessarily Bowser, but Sonic the Blue Blur. My experience with Sonic, he was my main in Brawl, which is actually funny because he's considered one of the worst characters in Brawl. A lot of people say that, you know, he's a weak character and he doesn't really have that many knockout moves. But if you watch some of our gameplay from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, you can see that I'm pretty decent with him. I'm actually really good with him when we play with items, but you know, that's kind of cheating. Let me go ahead and explain his basic moveset. Okay, going into his melee attacks, his basic melee attack is basically the jab, much like Mario, jab, 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 kick combo. Does a little bit of damage. His down is like a swirl kick. He does this spinning move. He spins in like a circle with his legs sticking out. And if you look at this, if you do this simultaneously, you can see him moving forward with this kick. So if you do this in repetition, you can see yourself going forward and knocking opponents off the edge. Not to a KO, but just getting them off the platform. His up melee attack is a double leg air kick. Yeah, it's like he stays on the ground, but it's kind of weird. It's like he spins in a circle, but he hits the opponent with both of his legs. And his side is basically him. He'll spin around and then put his hands on the ground and then kick you with both legs, which is kind of confusing, but if you look at the gameplay, it's pretty easy to understand. Going into his smash attacks, which is actually something I forgot to explain with Mario, but I'm going to go ahead and start explaining this for the rest of the characters. Smash attacks are basically the attacks that you charge up and basically knock opponents off the field versus melee attacks and special attacks. His basic smash attack is something I like to call the Mega Punch. He charges his fist up and spins in circles, and if you connect this right, opponents will go flying off the stage. It's a really powerful punch. His down smash was actually changed from Brawl to Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Basically, in Brawl, he did this weird thing where like he would kind of roll into a ball and then go back and forth in a set position where he was standing. But now they changed it to a leg split. Opponents standing on both sides. If you do this correctly, they'll both go flying in both directions. The down smash attack from Brawl was better because it had more range. But this is something I can work with because I believe this is stronger. Going to his up, and this is also kind of hard to explain without going into another attack in his special moves arsenal. I like to call this the spinning smash. If you're not familiar with a homing attack, which I'm going to explain next, basically, a homing attack is where Sonic spins in the air and then he homes in on an opponent. And so with the spinning smash, basically, instead of homing in onto the opponent, he basically just charges the move up and just does it in the air without actually hitting anyone. So characters in his vicinity actually get hit with this move and they go up. His basic special move is his homing attack, like I was just explaining. He'll go into the air and he'll lock onto any opponent in his range. It's kind of hard to pull off if opponents aren't close enough to you, because sometimes, let's say for instance, you're on the side of the edge and he does this. If you're in the wrong direction, he'll actually go flying on the stage and it's hard to get back on the stage. And this is also something that is kind of dangerous when you're trying to get back onto platforms. I do find it kind of useful if you do pull this off of an edge and you're trying to get back on the edge and you do this. Let's say an opponent is trying to guard the edge so you can't get back onto the platform. This attack actually works because sometimes they'll actually home in on the opponent and then get you on the stage, or actually make you go over the opponent. And so if an opponent moves out of the way, it's pretty easy to dodge, but a lot of times you use this attack if they're trying to charge up an attack on you. His up special is basically generating a spring. Springs in the Sonic series, I'm pretty sure everyone should be familiar with this. You bounce on them, you go into the air. And so basically Sonic's able to generate a spring which helps him go into the air and grab onto platforms, let's say if he's falling off. And if you do this while standing on the platform, other characters can jump on it. His side special is the spin dash. The spin dash was introduced in Sonic 2. The main problem with the original game was a lot of times you would have to backtrack to get enough speed to go around certain loops. And the spin dash was basically for him to generate enough speed to go through those loops without having to backtrack. You can charge it up and then you can ram into opponents. And they changed it from Brawl to Smash Bros. 4 with basically when you pull off the spin dash, he does like this weird little arc before he goes to differentiate from the next attack, which I'm about to explain, which is his down special, and it is called the spin charge. Now, in my opinion, the spin charge is actually what I believe is the actual spin dash. You hold on your controller and then you mash the special button and he'll charge up, and then basically he'll just ram into opponents much like the spin dash. The only difference between the spin dash and the spin charge is that the spin dash basically does the arc before it goes. I feel as if this is something they should change if they ever decide to bring Sonic back, because this was a problem that I had in Brawl. But you know, it's not that big of a deal. They changed it. They changed the spin dash to where it has an arc in front of it. I guess that was just something that that they really weren't worried about. But in my opinion, this is something that should be changed. Going into his grabs, this is also something that I forgot to explain with Mario. Basically, when you grab an opponent, you can grab them and you can do attacks before you throw them around. So Sonic, when he grabs opponents, his attack is basically a knee to the stomach. His down grab, he'll roll on the opponent, so he'll throw them into the ground, and then he'll do like a spin charge on top of the opponent, which is actually pretty funny to look at. Sonic's opposite grab is basically him doing like a spin in the air and then throwing the opponent in the other direction. His up grab is basically him throwing the opponent in the air and they land on the back of his spikes, which doesn't really make much sense because I didn't realize his spikes were that sharp and actually could hurt opponents, but hey, who knows. His side grab is just what I like to call a soccer kick. He just kicks them in the chest and they go flying. Sonic's air attacks. His up air attack is a double leg kick. So basically he'll have both his legs apart and then he'll put them together and then kick opponents higher into the air. His basic air attack is the spin dash swirl. Basically, it's much like the spin dash where he spins into a ball, but with this, he's not going forward. He's just spinning in the air. His side air is a body spin, so it's basically him spinning in the air with his body. His entire body spins. Not like a spin dash, but actually his body spinning. His down air is him coming down high from the air and then coming down with his foot, which I like to call the falling foot, which is kind of stupid, but you know. And his back air is a swing kick. Now, this is a devastating air attack. If you're fighting an opponent, let's say for instance they're above 80% damage and you hit them with this attack, they will go flying. It's not necessarily a guaranteed kill, but they will go flying. And last but not least, Sonic's Final Smash, which I love, is Supersonic. They really nerfed this Final Smash from what it was in Brawl. In Brawl, his Final Smash was so powerful, you could knock, like, let's say for instance you're starting with an opponent at 0%, you can knock that opponent out throughout the time limit that you have with his Final Smash. Now, it's hard to knock out opponents with Sonic's Final Smash. For some reason, they turned it down and then they made it shorter. So you have to be precise with your attacks with this. And then it's still hard to control at the same time. So it's not the best Final Smash in my opinion, but it's still nice to look at and reminisce with Supersonic. My overall opinion on Sonic, even though they tweaked him a little bit, he still faces the same problems. Yes, he is the fastest character on the game. But at the same time, he can deliver light damage quick. But as far as getting your opponent in the right position to knock them off the screen is something that it's hard to deal with. If you're playing in a match, let's say for instance with items, Sonic is a great character to use just because of his speed. You'll be able to get to one side of the level to the next side and be able to grab different items and things of that nature. As far as knocking off opponents, like I said, it's hard to do. You have to make sure that your opponents are in the right position. But if you're a skilled enough player with Sonic, this shouldn't be that big of an issue. Sonic, his attacks are light. His strong attacks are somewhat limited, but at the same time, if you time them right, then he'll be a good character to use. His speed is great. He's pretty easy to control, even though with the speed that he has, I feel as if he's a character that takes some time to develop with. And being, in my opinion, that he was my main in Smash Bros. Brawl, carrying him over into Smash Bros. For Wii U, doesn't really carry the same toll. I wouldn't call him my main now, just because of the variety of characters that we have. But he's still someone that I would pick if I was in a good battle and I needed someone to fight with. Those are my overall opinions on Sonic. If you like this episode, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for tuning into this episode. This is Adam from the Techno Bro signing off, and I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, peace.